Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Why of It All. We are really excited today. We have a returning guest again for the third time. Army veteran Corby Maupin is joining us for a follow-up interview because he did Ibogaine again. And I'm dying to hear about the story for his second experience with it. So without further ado, let's bring him on.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey,
Corby.
Corby.
How's it going?
It's going. It's going.
Good. Thank you so much for being
Right.
here with us. We're
Yeah.
really happy
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you
me
back.
back. It's fun.
We
And
knew we were going to have you back, but we just didn't know we were going to have you back so soon.
Yeah.
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 So we got to give our listeners the backstory. So if you haven't listened to episodes 30 and 31, you need to go back because you need to hear about the start
yeah,
of this healing journey for Corby. It's so important to listen. They're really good episodes, and he dives deep into his first Ibogaine journey. And I remember at some point talking in that last conversation that, hey, this is a possibility. You could do a treatment again. You could go back. And a couple of weeks ago, he's like, hey, I'm on my way back from Tijuana. Can you talk on the phone? I'm in the airport. And I'm like, oh, shit. No, really? Wow. And so I actually feel really grateful because I got to talk to you after your second treatment, literally as you were flying home from your treatment,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
yeah.
Hot off the
And
press.
and then Gina called me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Gina called me and she was like, "Hey, I got Corby. I'm gonna talk to him in the airport. He just got back from Tijuana. Do you want to join in?" Well, I was like, "Right now I can't.
Yes.
And don't tell me anything because I want to hear everything
Yes.
straight from Corby's
So
lips."
you can get her reaction for, and mine too. We didn't go deep into it, but
Yeah.
so excited to have you
Yeah.
back, Corby.
Yeah, it's good to be back. It's a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
So I've got a couple of questions. First, remind our listeners, when did you do your first Ibogaine
That
journey?
was last March over spring break.
Mm-hmm.
So
March.
March of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was almost
Yeah.
exactly
What is,
Six,
I don't math.
set,
Is that like six
7
months ago?
months.
7 months.
Okay. Can you give us a little bit of insight into what these 7 months were like for you before you went back for round two?
Well, it was really great. It was the first time I've been voluntarily sober
Mm-hmm.
for over a decade,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was like having my life back. For
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of a wild experience to be sober and happy at the same time, and to be set free from these things I couldn't shake for a long time, and it was a real eye opening experience to finally like really understand why I had been drinking and getting high
Mm-hmm.
in a compulsive manner.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I had this underlying PTSD
Mm-hmm.
and just emotional trauma, head trauma. I guess I didn't understand the deep physical, emotional underlying
Mm-hmm.
effect or emotions I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand. It was because when I got out of the army, I was like, all right, I'm done with all the craziness. I can go back to normal.
Yeah.
And that's actually when things got, for me, mentally and emotionally, that was when things got crazy.
Mm.
Because I was like, okay, how come I'm out of the bad situation? How come I don't feel good?
Yeah.
And that was a big struggle because I think the crazy lifestyle of the army kind of distracts you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably not just me. I think, probably people seek out and create drama in their lives in general. We all know
Oh
that.
yeah.
And, I think
Yeah.
having a high intensity, drama filled life can help distract us from this weird deep seated discomfort that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Since doing the Ibogaine, it kind of fixed that. And it was really amazing to actually be able to just live my life without having this monkey on my back,
Mm-hmm.
without having to silence the static with drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And not, also, it was really amazing to get emotional regulation back.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best parts, I think, was because the healing effect of the Ibogaine continued on for maybe 8 weeks or more after I came home, because it stays in your system. It's metabolized into a different chemical that stays in your system for a long time, and that chemical is, I guess, what they think is largely responsible for the neurogenesis and the healing in the brain.
Wow.
That was a real great part of, was not flying off the handle over little things, and not like having like my day ruined over something small. Because even if I didn't fly off the handle on the outside, emotionally I'd be wrecked. Like everything would go fine in one little thing, and then that would put me in a sour mood that I couldn't shake. And it would just be with me until I started drinking it. And having that pretty much fixed was great. And it was great to have amazing amounts of brain power, waking up feeling awake and not tired, not feeling like I had the flu from drinking, like I wasn't like a crazy alcoholic. I mean, sometimes I drank too much and would get sick, but I was definitely waking up feeling like I had the flu every day, even. So it wasn't like a mild headache. Like that just felt like normal. If I wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and having like a kind of gnarly headache, that was I thought that was normal, and come to find out, no, that was minor. That was a hangover that I was just sleeping through. It was great. It was amazing to have my life back and to be set free from these addictions. But I felt like the work wasn't complete.
Yeah.
There's more healing that needed to happen. I was still having some issues with not feeling right and compulsive behavior. And
Yeah. What did you still
examples?
wasn't feeling like? Because like you had stopped drinking and doing any other substances, right? Like those feelings didn't come back, right? After the first treatment?
Correct.
Okay.
Like I wasn't drinking. I hadn't gone back to drinking or smoking weed or any other drugs like that. It was just like that same kind of gnawing feeling, but just much, much less, and still a little bit of discontent, or like how do I just? It's kind of hard to describe, but like the feeling of kind of like I'm late, or like I'm in a hurry, but I'm not actually in a hurry. I'm not actually late for anything, and being uncomfortable in my own skin kind of feeling. So like it was much, much better than it had been, but it was still there to a degree.
Would you describe it as like a palpable sensation of the nervous system dysregulation?
Yeah. So there's probably people out there who know what I'm talking about. A weird gnawing at the back of your mind. It just makes you uncomfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, I mean, I relate to that as somebody who is much better than I have been in a decade, but still healing from nervous system dysregulation. What you said about feeling like I'm in a hurry when I'm not, I 100% know what you're talking about. It's like a need to do, because I have all of this fight or flight energy built up, and I need to do something with it. And if I don't, it's like you're twitchy. It's like you're crawling out of your skin, and you got to get up and
looking
do
for
something.
the door.
Yes.
Yeah. That's so you understand it, and it's kind of hard to describe, I guess. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And
Did you still have the hypervigilance that you talked about in episode 30 with us, when you were describing the symptoms of PTSD? That hypervigilance, always looking over your shoulder thing. Did you still have that?
No, not really. Like I said, like this was all greatly diminished. All of these symptoms are the same symptoms I had, but greatly, greatly diminished. Like I felt like, like if you have like a normal person who's never had emotional trauma, who's never had head injuries or severe addictions, who's never really damaged their brain like this, I would imagine, let's call that person, they live at baseline or zero. So when I went to do Ibogaine the first time, I was at like negative 100. Okay, like I was miserable. That first trip that we talked about last time, that brought me from negative 100 to probably like negative 20. So it was a huge, it was like a miracle.
Yeah.
The amount of change in my life, but I just kind of felt like there was more to go, and I was waiting before I decided to go back. I didn't know for sure. I kind of felt like I would, but I wanted to see how much healing would, or how, like, I wanted to give it time, because I knew, or my Dr. Gabby told me, it would stay in my system and I would continue to grow and heal when I got home. Plus, also, there's the healing that comes from living a healthy lifestyle. I was no longer going to bed drunk, So like there was more healing that happened after I felt like the Ibogaine was completely out of my system. I was still improving, just because I was getting good night's sleep. So like there was still continue, but then
and also you weren't consuming poison every day.
Yes.
Yeah. I wasn't consuming poison, and I wasn't disrupting sleep, which is your primary time to heal your own brain.
Correct.
So it's a double whammy. You're poisoning yourself and you're preventing yourself from healing, But after 6 or 7 months, I was like, okay, I feel like I've come a long ways, but there's still more work to be done. Because I'd had some pretty serious head trauma, physical and emotional. It was actually right about the time of our interview was when I was really thinking about and deciding to go down. And I didn't want to bring it up because I wasn't sure if I was going to yet, and I didn't know how to phrase it because I didn't want people to think that it had somehow worn off.
Right.
Because especially if this is a strange and new thing, and I didn't want to say anything until I knew how to describe it properly. And I guess what I would say is that it's not that it wore off. It's not that I relapsed. That I wasn't drinking. That can happen. You can go back if you want.
Sure.
It was just that it had done its work, and I was still in a much better place. But there was still, I felt like more to go because I was comparing my state of mind, which was the best it had been in 15 or 20 years, to the period right before all of the horrible stuff in my life. There was a period when I first became a Christian, when I was like 17 or 18. And between then and when I got married to my first wife, there was this period of about 3 or 4 years where I was living a good life. I wasn't drinking and getting high. It was just I had drank and I had gotten high in high school, so I knew that those things existed, but they weren't part of my life, and it was no big deal. I remember that. This thinking back to that time in my life has been a real galling kind of memory because I'm like, I can't get back there. I was like, well, I'm going to try to go back again, do another treatment again, and get back to that reference state before things went bad. So that's when I decided to go again.
Can I ask you something, Corby? When you left the treatment center after your first treatment, did they tell you, hey, you can come back for another treatment, or you might need another treatment, or a second round is possible? Did you know that after your first treatment that you could go back for more healing?
Yeah, kind of. It's very uncommon because for two reasons. Most people get everything they need from the first treatment, and also it's very unpleasant.
When you know what it feels like because you already did it, it's sort of
it's that medicine that tastes bad. It's good for you, but it tastes bad.
There's no spoonful of sugar to wash down Ibogaine.
Oh, that's the DMT. The DMT is the spoonful of sugar.
You want to walk us through this second journey?
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Let me expand a little more on what you just asked.
Please.
So my doctor said that she had only ever treated someone twice, one other time. But the counselor lady, Erica, whom I love, and she's amazing and awesome, she told me that she's seen this more because she's the counselor lady and a kind of administrator who she helps with all the patients, whereas doctors they evaluate the patients and administer treatment, but that was it. Whereas Erica, she's kind of there through the whole thing with all the different patients. And she says it's not unheard of. It's not common, but it does. There are people who come back, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but my wife told me that there was a famous NFL player who's done Ibogaine, and he's talked about it and been on several podcasts. And she had heard him say on a podcast that he had done more than once.
Wow.
And he was a guy who just had so many head injuries in the NFL that his life was falling apart, and just demonstrating the same symptoms as someone with PTSD. But apparently, he had gone back more than once, but it's not common. So yeah, that's to answer your question.
Yeah.
I knew that it was a possibility. Honestly, I was a little nervous about calling them because I thought I didn't know what to think, and I was worried that they would be like, "Oh, you relapsed. We're not going to let you come back." But then I'm like, "What do they care?"
Right.
You know?
Right.
But they were happy to have me back, especially when they knew that I wasn't. I relapsed.
Sure.
It was actually it felt good to go back and pass a drug test. Erica came in and gave me a big hug. She's like, I just saw your drug test. It was great. That's what I like to see. So
that's great. You made the comment about a lot of people don't go back for round 2 because they know, having been through it already, that it is not a pleasant experience for the majority of that Ibogaine trip. So, like, what was it like for you? Let's say when you're like on the airplane and you're headed back to Tijuana, knowing what you were voluntarily signing up for. Was it a mixed bag? Where were you?
It's definitely a mixed bag. It was getting a splinter, and it's down deep, and it gets infected, and you're going to have to cut it out. It's like, I know I have to cut this out. I know this is going to hurt like hell. I mean, it doesn't physically hurt, but the analogy. This is going to be very unpleasant, but I'm going to have to go get a X-Acto knife and dig into my own skin to get this splinter out because it has to get out. That's the kind of thing, but maybe a little more abstract.
Thank you for painting
It's a great analogy.
But yeah,
it was.
That was a great analogy.
I was nervous because I signed up and it was only like 2 weeks out.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, they got me in a hurry. So that was cool.
Wow.
The first time I had to wait like 6 weeks. The second time I thought it was like a month, and then it's in the middle of the semester, and I'm up to my eyeballs in homework. I didn't realize what day it was, and so I'm like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. Well, sign me up. And I look at the calendar, and it was like 12 days. I'm like, oh no!
Oh God!
And I was definitely nervous and agitated for those 2 weeks. There was a guy down there. I think he's going to do well. He had a good attitude. He was a Christian guy from Texas up by Lubbock, and he was struggling with addiction, and I think it had to do with childhood trauma or something like that. But, I talked to him. He called me after his treatment, and he said he was feeling great, but he's like, "You didn't tell me how scary it was."
Aww.
I was like, I was like, I know, I didn't want to freak you out. I was like, why do you think I was so nervous? But I knew it was going to be okay because I knew how much healing and how much better I felt from the first trip, from the first treatment. That's what I was focusing on. It's like, okay, focus on the day after when I wake up and I'll feel better. That's what I was focusing on, and I knew it was going to be, and also I knew it wasn't for any of your listeners out there who've ever accidentally taken too many mushrooms. That's like a real panicky, unpleasant, panic attack type feeling. I accidentally ate too many mushrooms in Amsterdam one time and cried in the fetal position for a few hours. And that was, in a way, worse, because that's out of control.
Yeah.
Whereas Ibogaine is unpleasant for sure, But after you have doing it, like, you're not gonna fall off the planet. You're not gonna die. You're not gonna cry.
Right.
You might feel like crying, but you're not. It's unpleasant, but it's okay. You know, like
Well, and you're in a safe and controlled setting. You've got medical
Doctors.
professionals that are there to support and protect you.
yeah, you don't have to worry about having a bad trip because there's no such thing as a good trip.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No, but it's just I don't want to scare people off.
Right.
But I don't want. I want to be truthful in the fact that it's unpleasant because this is the kind of thing you do for medical purposes. This is this kind of thing you do to save your life. This is not just go down and get high. Like, this isn't LSD. This isn't a thing where you can have fun if you go into it with a good attitude. Like, no, it's unpleasant, but it's doable, and you're not gonna freak out. You're not gonna have a panic attack.
Well, and anybody who watched the second part of our original interview, what was that,
Yes.
Gina? Episode 31? Anybody who watched that, you described in detail how you went from horror phase of the trip to something beautiful and spiritual and profound and liberating. And so, like, the trip itself is a mixed bag of really, really, really unpleasant and beautiful and heart-opening and profound and inspiring.
So this time it was. If you'd like, I'd go into the experience this time.
Please.
So I went down there, same place, same people. Requested the same doctor, Dr. Gabby. She's awesome and amazing. She views this as part of her calling in life. So she's really about it and the transformative effects. And she really views this as more than just a regular treatment. This is a life-changing experience. So I even got the same room. That was great.
Oh, how that's
That was-
really
That was cool.
isn't it?
So I went down there. I was clean. So it was a faster process. This was got there on a Friday and came home Monday. So if you don't have to detox, you can do this on a long weekend. For those people who are professionals and stuff, it can't carve out a ton of time. Like I said, if you can show up clean, or the pills and kratom and stuff like that, they have to be completely out of your system. So if you can do that before you get there, and remember they drug test, so like there's no trickery allowed here. But if you can show up clean, then you can do this real quick. Excuse me. So I showed up Friday. They tested my heart, and they gave me a blood test for my liver and a urinalysis, and I was all good to go, healthy. The Saturday evening, I did my treatment. Again, this is 5 capsules of the Ibogaine. This time was a little different. She actually prescribed less than last time. Last time my dose was 1,050 milligrams. This time my dose was, I think, 875. So a little bit less. But they thought, and I now agree, that coming into it completely sober for 7 months, it hit me harder. A lot harder. A lot harder.
I would have guessed exactly the opposite.
I didn't. Any guess is good, but I didn't know what to expect either. But it was more intense. You remember, if you recall, like they give you the first capsule is a small, just to make sure you're not going to have a reaction, and then they wait like 30 or 40 minutes, and you give you the second and the third and the fourth, and then by the time it takes a long time to kick in, and by the time the 5th one comes around, it's kicking in, and they give you the option. This time I chickened out. I couldn't do it.
No.
Like it was too much. It was too much.
Yeah.
I think part of it was that I took them faster, so they're like 15 minutes between instead of like 45 minutes. So maybe taking it sooner made it kick in hard. I don't know, but I was tripping too much, and it was okay though. It was okay.
What symptoms were you having in that moment that made you decline? Like at that stage of the trip, last time you walked us through that the
Yeah.
stages would change. At that stage where you were still dosing, what were the symptoms you were having that made you be like,
Yeah.
not doing number 5?
You know, the first stage was just kind of like it's physically unpleasant, but I was ready for that. But like, it's the fear. It was just scary for no reason. It's not like mushrooms or something where like you're exposed to your own fear of death. It was just fear for no reason, and that was too intense. It's hard to describe, but it was just too intense. I was like, no. Like I said, it was hitting me harder in a way, and the overall pattern was very similar. Like the 2 hours or so of fear and visual stuff, and then going off into my own world for maybe 6 hours or something, and then it got better. Although this time, the first part wasn't as bad,
Okay.
and the second part wasn't as good. It wasn't as out of body. The first one was definitely an out of body experience, and this one was also an out of body experience, but not as much.
Not as intense.
Yeah. The first part was still very intense and very much out of body, but it was different. Also, what was different is it lasted longer this time, even though I got less. So last time, the first treatment, I got out of bed after about 12 hours, and I was able to like move around. I was still pretty wobbly and like hungover kind of feeling, but I was able to go take a shower, drink some water. Then they gave me breakfast. I ate a huge breakfast at like 8 in the morning. It was great. And I was ready to take on the world. And I was just so happy to be set free, and I could tell right then I was already the world was better. This time, I got out of bed at 12 hours, but I went back to bed. I did not feel good.
No.
I was still tripping, and I this time ended up being in bed for about 16 or 17 hours. And
Wow, that's a lot longer.
and even then, when I got out, I wasn't feeling great. Like by the end of the day, I was able to like eat some food. Like I hardly ate at all that day. Just food had no taste, and it was like, bleh,
Yeah.
just didn't want it.
No appetite.
And so, yeah, and by the end of the day, I was smiling at least, but like I wasn't feeling great. But recall, the stuff keeps you from going to sleep. It's not bad. It's not unpleasant. Like I wish I could go to sleep, but I can't. It's not like that. You just can't. But you're content with just laying there as if you were asleep, but your mind is going. But this one, by like 9 p.m., I could barely go to sleep, and I was still having a little bit of visions when I closed my eyes. But I was finally able to go to sleep. Woke up the next morning and felt better than I felt since I was like 20 years old.
Wow.
I felt amazing.
Wow.
Even the next morning, I woke up. Had some tracers when I moved my hand. I'm like, oh, like, but it went away after a couple minutes, but I felt 100%, and basically for the first time, I now feel like I did before any of the trauma of my life.
Wow.
And
Wow.
then I didn't eat breakfast yet. On my last time talking to you guys, we didn't talk about the DMT.
Oh yeah.
So the DMT, so you do your treatment of Ibogaine, and that's all night long.
Right.
And then the next day you're around, but I guess my experience this time is more like normal. So your experience may vary, but the medicine's doing its work, believe me. But then that whole day you're just kind of chilling out, and then you go to bed the next night. And then when you wake up, you're great.
Mm-hmm.
You're great. And then that day, the shaman, if you pay extra for this, which to me is just part of the price, because I would not recommend doing it without the DMT. The DMT is very important. Everybody says that it like ties it all together. It closes it out. It puts a bookend on it. I don't know, but all those things are correct, and it finishes your experience in a weird way. I would I would not recommend doing Ibogaine by itself. If you can do the DMT, do the DMT.
And Corby, can you tell us, for people that don't know, what DMT is? Because I don't even know. You explained it a little bit on our phone call on your way back, but what is DMT?
So DMT is another chemical hallucinogen. There's two forms of it. There's a plant-based form, which is what is common, not common, but what is found in America. And then there's the DMT that comes from this toad that lives exclusively in the deserts of Sonora. So this is not something you can just go. Don't just go finding poisonous frogs, toads, and stuff. Like, this is a specific toad, and there's like a specific group of people that harvest this. Like once a year, these different shamans go out there and they find them, and they harvest this chemical. You call it poison, I guess. Like, if you didn't know what you were getting, you'd feel like you got poisoned. But the kind that comes from the toad, I've done both. The plant-based one was very different, similar, I guess, similar for sure, but very different. That one lasted like maybe 10 or 20 minutes, and that was kind of a weird experience. But that was a different time in my life, when I was just struggling after my divorce and after the beginning of my road through trauma, I guess. And I was doing something to do something for the experience at some dude's apartment, So I was in a different place, but it was neat. It might be worth investigating more, I guess. But the animal based, the one that comes from the frog, is 5-MeO DMT, and that is, in this situation, is administered by a shaman. Which I have to say, like, when I went down there initially, I hear shaman, and I take that with a grain of salt. Growing up in the States, it sounded a little flaky. I grew up in a tourist town, so that really struck me as like some touristy nonsense. I'm like, okay, whatever, whatever with the shaman, just make sure she brings the good stuff. Okay,
Sure.
But then I met her, and in this situation, she was legit. She's a great person, and her life is devoted. This is how she makes her living, but it's for helping and healing people using these hallucinogenic tools. And she's legit. I didn't think I would ever run into a legit shaman, but yeah, it can be a real thing, and she really takes her work seriously for helping people.
Yeah.
So it's that morning before you eat any food, and for me it was bright and early. I don't know if it's always bright and early, but I had to catch a plane, so it was like 8 a.m. So she shows up, and you're encouraged to be quiet, or to get into a quiet state of mind, I should say. And you do this outside. She's praying, she's burning incense and like sage, which I don't put too much credence into that, but she's doing her thing, and I was praying to Jesus. Having a ritual is good to help take it serious, and I was trying to take it serious and looking for healing. Also, they do this thing called I forgot what it's called. It's a weird stuff she gets it from Brazil, from the Amazon rainforest, and it's a brown powder that's like tobacco and maybe some other stuff. And she has this weird device, and she like shoots this up your nose beforehand, and it burns and goes all the way through your sinuses. But after the burning stops, it has a very calming effect, and it's good for meditation, I guess. I guess it can be ordered. I'm sorry, I didn't think to look up the name of it before I got on here.
It's okay.
I'll find out what it's called,
okay.
and I'll text you guys so you
Sure.
can put it in the comments.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So I did that. I'm praying, meditating, doing breathing exercises to get in a calm state of mind. Because my first time I did this, and I was doing this all, but I still didn't know what to expect. I was still thinking like, this is maybe some kind of drug that's going to help heal me, and it'll be a cool experience. And what I learned the first time is that it's way more than that, and I wasn't taking it serious enough. Like the first time as it's kicking in, I'm like, oh shit. And I have my Aggie ring on. Like my Aggie ring. I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, and I had to get it off because I realized, like, as this is kicking in, like, I'm like, I'm about to walk into the presence of the Lord, and I got this ring on. This is a gold ring that's vanity, like this is silly pridefulness type stuff, like. And so I'm like, like she was worried because she didn't know what I was doing, and I like rip it off and like set it off to the side, so I could approach the Lord in a more humble manner, like. And it's weird. It's a weird experience because it came with, I started screaming. The first time I did, I was very scared. Because it was. It's like if the feeling of being on a roller coaster when it really takes off, and it's kind of scary. It's like that, but if you didn't know you were on a roller coaster,
Wow.
like just all of a sudden you take off.
Yeah.
Like it's so.
And how is the DMT administered? You said there was a powder thing she
Yeah,
did beforehand, but is that
no,
it,
so
or is there something else?
It looks janky, but it's not. So like it's dried substance. It looks like maybe like dried Elmer's glue, but in like a brownish color.
Okay.
Like it's a little substance.
Okay.
It's in little tiny bits, and she puts that in a little glass pipe, and she vaporizes it with you're smoking it.
Smoke it.
Yeah. So, but she holds the pipe, and she like hits it with a little flame, and it boils.
Okay.
So it's not really smoking, but it boils, and you breathe in the vapor.
Okay.
And it doesn't burn or anything. You have to be careful not to cough, but not to. It's not too bad. It doesn't burn your throat like smoking weed or anything. It's like hitting a vape pen or something.
Okay.
But and then you just hold it in as long as possible. And the second time, this time when I did it, she remembered me and she liked me and knew that I was in a good place. So she gave me like 3 times as much as the first time.
Okay.
And this time I knew how to smoke it because the first time I pulled too hard and almost sucked the little chunk down my throat. So it was like, she's like, no. And I'm like, am I okay? Like, it all worked out fine, but like it was a weird. It was weird. So this time I knew how to do it right. Also, I took my ring off beforehand, and I knew I wasn't getting high. I was going to see God. So.
Hey everybody, it's Melanie from The Why of It All. You guys already know Gina and I are passionate about healing mind, spirit, and body. And that's why we're proud to be sponsored by a brand whose passion for wellness runs as deep as ours, Tulip Blooms. Tulip Blooms is a family-owned American small business that handcrafts a variety of small-batch premium skincare products, such as their original flagship product, Rainfall. Rainfall is a luxurious, lightweight face and body lotion made with soothing aloe vera and a powerhouse blend of cold-pressed botanical oils like jojoba, rosehip, and evening primrose. Rainfall is my go-to daily body lotion. I love that it's made with only the highest quality of pure, clean, natural ingredients. There's no synthetics at all, and it absorbs quickly, delivering lasting hydration without any greasiness. There are many scents to choose from, even unscented, but my favorite is rose geranium. Rainfall is gentle enough for the face, nourishing enough for the body, and the perfect daily go-to, especially after sun exposure when your skin craves extra care. Visit tulipblooms.shop and use our exclusive promo code HEAL, that's HEAL, at checkout for 10% off your order.
So I knew more what to expect. I knew more. It was going to be a little weird at first. Yeah. It's like a weird feeling of acceleration.
Yeah.
And you're a weird feeling of being out of control, but it's okay. So I went into a much better idea of what to expect. And again, there's screaming, like a primal scream, and it felt so good.
I bet.
There was a book called Primal Scream, and it was that was a technique that gained some popularity in the 70s, but I haven't heard much of it. But anyway, like it was a primal scream. I love 2 of those primal scream. It felt good.
Wow.
And then,
do you recall it being stimulated by anything, any thought, any vision, or it just came out?
Just the desire to scream. It just felt right at the time.
It's very therapeutic, like screaming. Like I've done that in my car before when I'm so mad.
Oh, really?
Because it's the safest place. Nobody can hear you. Nobody thinks, and drive it. And I've a couple times it just, it's loud. To where my throat hurt. Like my throat hurt afterwards. So very therapeutic. So that just came out of you. That's just what you needed at that moment.
Yeah. Well, I knew from the first time it was going to happen, but this time I went with it. Just like I said, it just felt right.
Yeah.
It felt right at the time. Yeah. And then comes like the last thought, regular conscious thought was like, okay, this is real. This is real. This is not a drug. This is not a high. This is real stepping into the presence of God. And and I mean that like kind of in the Old Testament sense of the word, where in the Old Testament, the priests would go into the Holy of Holies with the Ark of the Covenant, and if they weren't right, they would die. If they just walked right in the presence of God. And there was other times where like the presence of God would kill people. And like it's a really like intense clarity. There's this weird clarity and seeing white. It's hard to describe, but like my Ibogaine trips, both of them in retrospect, like I was like looking at the world, looking at horrible things that happen, looking at my past and the universe and how evil works in the world. It was the idea like, okay, like here's God, and it's kind of showing me what I need to see. And that's different for everybody. One of the guys told me about his trip, and it was very different than what I saw, what he saw. But he was getting the same kind of healing effects. I'll tell you about that in a minute if you care. This was like turning the DMT is like actually not looking at the world, not looking at my past. This was turning and looking at God directly. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It's a faith affirming experience. Like it's truly like just you're not hearing things, you're not seeing God like, oh, it's not some old man clothes wearing a toga. Like this is a powerful being of pure power.
Yeah, I have a question, Corby, because as you're describing this, what's coming up for me, I don't know about you, Melanie, but what's coming up for me is like when I think about seeing Jesus, seeing my maker, I think about dying. Like I feel like that's when I'm going to see, or having a near death experience. Like you hear this a lot. I find it fascinating. People that have almost died and they, again, white light, they see Jesus, they have this interaction and it's not their time. So I guess that's a little scary for me, right? Because I've never experienced that. But like when you're in that moment after the DMT and all this, and you're in the presence, that thought never came like, oh my God, like not that you were dying, but just that's the only time you hear people when they talk about being in the presence of God is when it's their time.
Yeah, this sounds kind of cheesy to say, but like doing Ibogaine and DMT kind of took away my fear of death in a way. In a way, I know people say that it's an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
But when you're actually in a position where you could die, that's different.
Sure.
Like, so like, but there's that type of fear of death that we all have, that we all try to put to the back burner, and we all try to never look at.
Right.
It kind of neutralized that, because like now, for me, what I saw in the death is part of it. It's just part of it. It's not the end. It's just the end of the chapter.
There's a difference between being in a moment where your life is in danger and the fear associated with that, and then there's the fear of the unknown, of what comes after death. It sounds to me like what I'm hearing is it relieved for you the fear of what comes after.
Kind of. So this time with the DMT, and this was my big takeaway from my second trip, or my first treatment, Ibogaine treatment. The whole thing, including the DMT, was just being saved, being set free, and having my PTSD and my trauma fixed. And I know that's a big statement, but it's real. It's really real. It's not like, oh, I wonder if this will work for me. It will. It can't not. It's not. This isn't like rolling the dice. It might help. It will help you. It will fix your brain. So that was the first, like, oh my God, I'm free. Like, oh, this is amazing. That was my first treatment. This one, so I told you, I woke up, I felt like I hadn't felt for 20 years. Like, I felt like how I used to feel when I became a born again Christian in my late teens, early 20s. And during those days, when I became a Christian, and I was real serious about it, and it was very real, and I have very real like experience with God when praying, and it was more than just believing a thing to believe in. It was more than just subscribing to an ideology. Okay, it was a very real time in my life as a Christian, and I ended up. It changed my life. I ended up going on several mission trips, preaching the gospel. I went to Africa for a couple of months. I went to Thailand for a couple of months. I went to India for 3 months. And I felt called to go to those places. It's kind of a vague thing that's hard to describe, but I felt called. Okay. And when I would pray, I wouldn't hear words, of course, but like I could tell I was talking to someone. Okay, there's someone in the room with me when I'm praying is how I felt. But then after I started having all this trauma in my life, like when I would pray, it was like picking up the phone and there's no dial tone. Some of your younger listeners probably don't know what a dial tone is.
Right.
Okay.
They don't know what a rotary phone is.
Yeah. But like I would still pray. I know God can hear me, but I couldn't hear him. I couldn't feel him. I felt disconnected, and that's a bad place to be in, especially when you start going to Afghanistan. It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
But right before I do the DMT, I woke up. I felt like that time period, and I remember thinking as she's praying and she's doing her thing, I was like, I feel the calling. I feel like I'm being called from across, a great distance or whatever. I feel like I'm being called. And then I did the DMT, and it was like my brain is a lens through which I communicate back and forth with God, and my lens had been cracked through trauma, and therefore, like, I could look through it, but I couldn't see anything. And the Ibogaine and the DMT fixed my lens, and now I'm reconnected with the Lord. I'm reconnected with. I can see the earth of my life clearly again, not through a broken pane of glass, not through a dirty glass, and that was feel like I'm being called. And then I did the DMT, and it was like my brain is a lens through which I communicate back and forth with God, and my lens had been cracked through trauma, and therefore, like, I could look through it, but I couldn't see anything. And the Ibogaine and the DMT fixed my lens, and now I'm reconnected with the Lord. I'm reconnected with. I can see the earth of my life clearly again, not through a broken pane of glass. So yeah, like you're saying, like a near-death experience, and DMT experiences. I've heard people talk about it being similar to a near-death experience. So yeah, maybe like you're being connected to God, and it's in a very real way. This is, like I said, I want to really reiterate. I've done a lot of drugs. I've gotten high a lot, in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different times and places. But this is not a drug to get high. Like, this is a tool to get in connection with the Lord. Ibogaine is a tool to heal your lens so you can communicate.
One of the things, Corby, during our conversation, I don't know if you remember this, but I wrote it down because it was so profound. I don't know if I shared this. Remember?
I'm glad you wrote it down.
We were talking, Melanie, on his way back from Tijuana, and after his second treatment, and what he said was, it's like now a warm blanket inside my brain. And I just but because think about that visualization. Think about your brain now being covered by a warm blanket.
Instead of fear and trauma and dysregulation and all of the coping and everything.
It was so
that is beautiful.
I'm sure for you, super calming and restorative. But I mean, what people wouldn't give to feel like their brain was sheltered by a warm blanket. What a beautiful visualization.
Yeah. And Gina, before you came on backstage, before we hit record, Corby and I were talking about DMT, because he just brought it up, and I was like, oh my God, that's crazy that you're bringing that up, because I have been looking in to 5-MeO DMT, otherwise known as Bufo, recently, like within the last few days. And what I shared with him was that what I have learned about it from one of my spiritual teachers is the mechanism of action essentially serves to peel away the false ego, mind, identity layers that we put in place that gets between us and our connection with the divine. And it helps to peel that away to reestablish connection with God. And to me, I mean, that sounds like something I'd sign right up for. Right. But I thought that was so amazing that this is something I've been looking into, and that's how it was described to me, as peeling away the false layers of you, the ego, mind, identity that are all based on our misperceptions and our judgments and our fears and all of the things that we experience through life that stack up, the traumas and the emotions that get between us and God. Like Gina and I were talking about earlier today, Gina had made a reference to sunshine, and we were talking about how the sun never stops shining, but there can be clouds in the way that block the view of it. And the same way, our connection with God, with a divine source, whatever anybody wants to call it, is always there. But we can stack up a bunch of crap that gets in the way of our ability to perceive that connection. And DMT, apparently, is one tool available to be able to clear the field and clear away a lot of that old false stuff that gets in the way, so that we can reconnect with God and understand the truth of who we really are and who God really is and what it all means on a deeper level. That is amazing. It is amazing that these resources are there, that these tools are available.
Yeah, it's amazing is a great way to explain it.
I have to tell you, Corby, we've already had people reach out that have heard about your story that are just blown away, just so impressed by your courage and everything you went through and to get here. And so, because I told you, I think on the phone, I'm like, I wouldn't have the balls to do it. I don't think, even I got a shitload of trauma myself, but I just don't know if I'd have the balls to do it. And I just really commend you for that, for just having the courage to step out and to try this treatment. And the fact that it's been so healing for you is just, man, how does it get any better than that?
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I don't know. It might take courage to do it twice.
Yes.
Not so much courage, but just like more just a desire to feel right, to get back right. I don't want to overemphasize, the scary parts of it, because every person's going to see something different. The doctor, she said, people see what they need to see. The one guy that I talked to about his trip, he said he saw something that was very different than what I saw. He said he saw something. It was like a giant octopus over this type thing, a monster, and its tentacles were coming out, reaching inside of him. But he said he could feel it healing parts of it that had been broken. And he said he could feel emotion for the first time since he was a kid.
Wow.
I don't know what that meant.
Yeah.
I don't relate to that, but I've heard of things like that where but he said he literally was feeling emotion for the first time since he was a child, and he was late 30s or something, and
it sounds like he had been emotionally numb as a result of whatever he
it was neat. I didn't get to have time to talk to him much after that, but that's what he said. So he said it was also very scary, but it was very different than I think I want to make sure after our first talk, I don't want to overemphasize how scary it was. Yeah, it is unpleasant, and I do want people to understand that, because don't go into this thinking it's going to be fun. Okay, this is not like mushrooms or LSD, where what they call it set and setting, mindset and setting, and you can have a good trip. This isn't like that. This is something different. Like this is a medicine that tastes bad. Okay, so you don't need to be courageous any more than you would for any other medical treatment. It's worth it. It will work. Do it if you need it. But I think that's why I can't guess. I'm not going to presume anything, but I imagine it's unpleasant for a reason, because it's not a toy, but you have to want it.
Sure.
Yeah, but it's there for anybody.
Yeah.
This isn't for the faint of heart, or this is not a lighthearted endeavor to have a good time. This is something you do. This is a serious thing to do, like childbirth. Childbirth. When my wife got pregnant, it was like when I went to Afghanistan. It was very scary, because you can die, and nobody thinks they're going to die beforehand, but a lot of people die, even though that'll never happen to me. But then it forces, like that to me. Like pregnancy was like that. Like this is a scary thing that we're going into. But it was worth it, of course. It was worth it for sure. But it was also glad when we got to the point where we weren't going to have any more kids, because I didn't have to worry about that sort of stuff.
Right.
A lot of things in life are very scary.
Sure.
And sometimes unpleasant, but we go through them because it's worth it, and then I think that's,
Right.
I don't want to, it's fun to talk about how crazy it was. Everybody loves to tell horror stories, but I don't want to like scare people away from it.
Sure. Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a serious endeavor. But if you think you need it, do it. Just do it.
After your first Ibogaine experience, you mentioned how you felt healing as a direct result of that for, what did you say, about 2 months afterwards? So how long has it been today since your second treatment? And are you still feeling the effects of it?
Well, today is the 26th. I went down there on Friday the 10th. And did it on the 11th. So today's the 26th. So it's been 15 days, 2 weeks. Yeah. I feel great. I feel better every day. Really. My first week back, because I did this, it was fall break at A&M. I did it over fall break, and then the week after coming back, all week. Let me preface this by asking: have you ever heard of state-dependent learning?
No.
Excuse me. It's a weird thing. It's not very useful information, but it's kind of neat. You can get somebody drunk to a certain level, okay, or high, or whatever, but get their mind at a certain level that's different than sober. And this also applies to like anxiety or fear. But you get them in a certain mindset, you give them 3 drinks or whatever, 5 drinks, and you teach them some stuff. And then when they sober up, you can quiz them on it, and they'll get a certain score. But you give them 5 drinks again, like a week later, and give them that same quiz, they'll score better because they'll remember more of it once they're at that same state of mind. It's state-dependent learning. This is why you never memorize the speech, okay? Because you memorize the speech, first of all, it's a terrible way to deliver a speech. Secondly, you memorize your speech when you're calm, and then you go to deliver the speech, you're in a different state of mind because you're anxious. You have adrenaline pumping.
Right.
So you can't remember it, and you'll completely blank. And then when you get out of that situation, or interviews, same thing, or like when I was in the Army, they do an in-person board where you're examined and quizzed by all the bosses, and it's very intimidating scenario, and your promotion depends on how well you perform, and it's nerve-wracking. And you come out of there and you're like, oh, I can't believe I couldn't remember that question. And it's like as soon as your adrenaline stops and you go back to being calm, then you can remember everything before because you learned it at a calm state of mind. The same thing will happen, like you can learn things when you're drunk and you won't remember them again until the next time you're drunk. The only reason I bring that up is because like all week after I came back, I was having like flashbacks and like remembering things I hadn't remembered since I was like 20, 21 years old. Because I was feeling alive in the same way I felt alive before my first trauma events. So I was having flashbacks all week. Like, like you smell something and you haven't, and it brings back memories.
Nostalgia.
From like 10 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
It was like that, except instead of a smell, it was bringing back memory. It was just a feeling of happiness without, just like a smell. Like, okay, this is what air smells like. Like, I don't. Weird. It was weird all week that was happening. Just like,
I find that so fascinating. There was so much of my childhood that I have zero memory of. Zero. And there's even a lot that's occurred throughout adulthood that I have zero memory of. And for the longest time, I thought I just have a shitty memory. And then I started learning how when it is in deep sleep, healthy, normal, deep sleep cycle, that short-term memory is turned into long-term memory. So if you are in a state of nervous system dysregulation, or you're having insomnia and you don't sleep well, you don't necessarily create that transition where it gets long-term memory stored. But also, what you just said made a little aha bubble come up for me. I've been operating in a state of a dysregulated nervous system for most of my adult life. I wonder if that is connected to why there's so much from my childhood that I have zero memory. I mean, it is literally a black wall. I wonder if doing something like this would create a similar effect where it opens up the doors to memories, and it's just a matter of misalignment. Like, basically, like, what if I can't connect to those memories because I'm in such a different state right now than I was when I created them?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Well, I had the good fortune to have a short period in my life where everything was good and I was happy.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually made my current distress more poignant because I knew that I could be happy. And there's a lot of people who don't have that. So I don't know if you would unlock those memories. I don't know if you even want to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very confident by what you're saying is that you should go try Ibogaine and the whole treatment, Ibogaine and DMT, and maybe you remember that stuff, maybe not. But I think what you could get is feeling happy, like because there's a friend of mine. I'm not going to say who for privacy purposes, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't remember what it's like to feel happy in her whole life. Because the stuff in her life started when she was like 6 years old, when her mom passed away. So she may not even know what it feels like to feel happy. And I'm trying to get her to go and take Ibogaine. I'll, for you too, anybody who wants, I'll fly with you if you're worried about going to Mexico. I'll fly with you and hold your hand all the way to the door. Like, I'll walk with you when you go across the border because that can be scary. But I'll go with you.
I love that.
But do it. Do it. I think by what you're saying is like you might unlock, so to speak, or like discover what you were supposed to feel like in the first place, what God created you to feel like, and that you may have just never gotten to.
Yeah. Or in my case, what I'm interested in it for is, I've done so much work in terms of emotional healing, and I've done so much work to reestablish and reconnect my spirituality in what ways I know how. And also, I wonder how much is, at this point, very physical in terms of the way my brain has changed and the way my nervous system is stuck. And I know that I'm doing so much better than I have in a very, very long time. And I feel like I have freed up my nervous system to a great degree. But I wonder how much is available. And especially with you talking about, when we interviewed you the first time, talking about the actual neurological changes involved and measurable, imageable neurological changes. It's like, I guess I'm kind of in this moment, I'm wondering about kind of where you were at after the first treatment and that made you want to go do the second treatment. Is like, I just feel like there's a little bit more for me. I just feel like there's more healing available for me. And I'm just ready to get there. I'm just ready to freaking get there. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with choosing a permission slip, like one of these kinds of treatments, to just get there. We can do it the hard and slow way. And then sometimes God provides the guidance and the intuition and the impulse to supercharge it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, if it's something you feel guided to do.
First of all, don't view it as needing permission. Like what I was saying with the DMT, that was my big takeaway. It was like, this is real. These are tools. This isn't getting high. This isn't a neat experience. This is real tools for healing. Just the same way that God gave us penicillin. And penicillin has existed forever. we discovered it when we discovered it. It's been there all along. And that's a gift from the Lord. You don't need, and that's the thing too, is like, I'm a Christian, okay, but like, you don't need to be a Christian to get the benefit of penicillin.
Correct.
You don't need to be a Christian to get the benefit of Ibogaine. And
Good analogy.
so like, but what I would say is like what you were saying. When we talked before, I mentioned I had started doing meditation. I had done EMDR, a type of treatment where they have this light that goes by, and that was cool. That helped. And meditation was a game changer for me. That may have saved my life. That may have saved my marriage. Like, that was a huge step in the right direction. Working out every day, sauna. I was doing all these things, and they all helped. So when I said, when I went to do my first Ibogaine treatment, I was at like negative 100. When I came back from Syria, I was probably like negative 200. I was at a suicidal state. I didn't try to commit suicide, but I was at a suicidal state. And I've had a lot of my friends I went to war with that did commit suicide. So like, I had come a long ways, but I had kind of reached this point where I wasn't making more progress. That's much better than I had been.
Right.
But I wasn't making more progress. And I think coming into an Ibogaine treatment at that state where you're already doing stuff, you already have your life in a good way. I was enrolled in college, which is great for the brain. And so I was already had my life, like my ducks in a row in a lot of ways. Like, I was already working out. I was already eating healthy. I'm already taking vitamins and doing sauna and meditation. And like, so having that groundwork, I think is a great way to go into it. And because like, lifting weights, I like to work out. And I've seen guys who want to start doing steroids. And I got nothing against steroids. It's your body, do whatever you want. But like, there's a lot of guys who want to jump into doing steroids, but like, well, how long have you been lifting weights? You've been lifting weights for like 3 weeks. You haven't even got the low-hanging fruit for doing it the normal way. Save the steroids for when you've been working out for 5 years and you can't make any more progress.
Right.
Then start juicing and you'll get benefit from it.
Sure.
But like, you haven't even well, I don't think either one of you guys are juicing and lifting weights, but like, I'm talking right now. I'm talking to these guys I used to know. Like, you want to do steroids, but like, you haven't even done the regular weightlifting. So like, what you're described is like that, but you've already been working out. You've already been doing these things to get right. I don't necessarily, if you're in a bad spot, basically, I think if you think you need Ibogaine, you probably do. And go for it.
Yeah.
But especially for people who are already doing things and have already made great progress but can't seem to get further, for sure, that seems like perfect time to do Ibogaine.
Everything that you've shared has been so inspiring. I'm very, very interested. I know my inner guidance is already pointing me in the direction of the DMT. That's something that, like, when you brought it up today, I was like, are you serious right now? Like, okay,
Melanie,
I get it.
Melanie, if you do it, I want to be with you if you do it. No, I don't know.
Together.
I don't know if I want to do it, but I want to
hands.
be with you when you do it.
Oh,
I'll go with you. I'll go with it, and I'll do it.
there we go. Corby, this has been amazing. We're going to wrap it up here for time's sake. But thank you so much for your willingness to come on with us and share your round 2 experience and going deep. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you, and I'm so happy for you.
Me too.
Ooh, I can just see. I can see the glow, and it's beautiful.
That reminds me, I want to plug. I don't know if I mentioned last time. So there was the veterans that they measured their brains, and they talked about on the Joe Rogan podcast that they're a bunch of Navy SEALs, and they made a movie documentary of those guys' experience, and it is coming out November 3rd on Netflix.
What's it called?
It's called In Waves and War.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay.
Amazing. We will find the
Yeah.
link.
In Waves and War.
Because by the time this episode gets published,
It's-
it will be past the 3rd. So we'll find
November
the link for it and
3rd.
put that in
Here's-
the show notes.
Let's see. In Waves of
Here.
War. In Waves and War. Oh, very cool.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
I saw this at a private screening down in Austin. They were showing this to all the senators when we're trying to get the vote.
The funding.
There we go.
Very cool.
And it's coming out November 3rd on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, spread the word. It's awesome. It's
Well,
more than a documentary, but it's not a movie because it's based on real life.
Yes.
And it talks about their experience in the war.
Yeah.
And Ibogaine, and it will make you cry. I was crying like a baby. Right in front of all these congressmen.
Wow.
I was like crying like.
And we've also given a shout out to the clinic that you know,
Oh, yeah.
that you went, we've
Thank
tagged
you.
that in a couple of posts. So we want people to have that information and that resource if they need it. So thank you for giving them a
And we'll
Yes.
include all that in the show
Yes.
notes for this
Yes.
episode
All
as
right,
well.
cool.
All right,
All right.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Corby. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you have enjoyed
Yes.
this episode, please go down and hit the like button. Follow us or subscribe on whatever platform you're watching on. That way you can get notified when we have more episodes coming out, and it is the very
Yes.
best way to support us.
Thank
Thank you guys so
you.
much. We'll see you on
Bye.
the next one.